All right, today we are digging into a true masterpiece of French cinema, Jacques Becker's 1960 film, The Hole. Now, this Hole explainer is inspired by a really fantastic 2025 review from Cyan McGrath that just perfectly sums up what makes this prison break movie unlike any other. So let's get right into it.
So, let me start with a question that gets right to the heart of this thing. Can a movie be both monotonous and thrilling? I know, it sounds like a total paradox, right? But that exact tension is what makes The Hole a masterclass in suspense. It takes the absolute drudgery of prison and the tedious, repetitive work of an escape, and somehow it turns it into one of the most nail-biting experiences you'll ever see on screen.
You see, The Hole just throws the typical prison break playbook right out the window. Forget about the fast-paced action, the epic scope, the big emotional speeches. Becker's film finds all of its power in the quiet moments, in the meticulous, painstaking process, and in this unspoken bond between these guys who are so relatable precisely because we know almost nothing about them. It just trades all that Hollywood spectacle for a raw, gripping realism that is way more effective.
So let's meet the men at the center of this story. We're going to take a look at who they are, what they're up against, and the incredibly daunting plan they've set into motion.
Okay, so picture this. Inside a single prison cell, you have 4 inmates. These guys are facing brutally long sentences. I mean, some are even looking at the guillotine. And they are secretly, meticulously planning their escape. And then, a newcomer, this guy Claude, gets thrown in with them. And the immediate question is, can we trust this guy? The review nails the vibe perfectly, comparing it to boys at a summer cabin trying to determine if their new roommate is similar enough to be trusted, only, with life and death stakes.
And their plan? Oh man, it is a grueling, multi-stage marathon. First, they've got to hack through the solid concrete floor of their own cell. Then, they have to navigate the dark, unknown grounds underneath the prison block, break through even more walls, and then finally reach the city sewer system. Every single step is this monumental task, just filled with its own unique and absolutely terrifying risk.
And this right here, this brings us to the core genius of the film. How in the world does Jacques Becker create this unbearable tension from actions that are, on the surface, incredibly boring and repetitive? Well, this is what we're calling the art of tense monotony.
This quote from the review just sums it all up. The film literally swaps the soul-crushing monotony of just being in prison for the painstaking, repetitive labor of trying to escape it. But here's the thing. This new monotony is charged with hope and fear and suspense. Every single chip of concrete, every turn of a makeshift tool suddenly becomes a life-or-death moment. So how does he pull this off? Well, Becker builds his incredible sense of realism with a few key techniques. You've got the stark black and white visuals, which really distill that feeling of drudgery. You've got this super patient editing with long, lingering shots that just stretch the anxiety to its breaking point. And crucially, there is no musical score. None. This forces us, the audience, to focus on every scrape, every cough, every distant footstep, the actual terrifying sounds of the escape.
And believe me, in the world of this tiny cell, every single sound is thunderous. Every shadow could be a guard. The men even rig up this ingenious little periscope out of a toothbrush and a mirror shard to watch the hallway. But as the review points out, the tension is so thick, so palpable, that this tiny advantage does almost nothing to relieve the anxiety. Not for them, and definitely not for us.
But then something really interesting happens. Once they finally break through that first barrier, the floor, the tension actually shifts. It doesn't go away, not at all, but it changes. Now they have more space, a bit more freedom to move in the tunnels below. And this newfound breathing room gives the audience a moment to kind of step back and really wonder about who these men are. And what's so important here is what we don't know. We have no idea what their specific crimes were, or what their families were like, or anything about their lives before prison. And that's not a flaw in the script, it is a very deliberate choice. By stripping away all that backstory, the film makes their struggle feel totally universal. We're not sitting there judging them for their pasts, we are 100% invested in their shared, desperate hope for a future. So, all of this, the tension, the camaraderie, the silence, it's all building towards an absolutely unforgettable conclusion. And the brilliant part is, it's not some sudden twist that comes out of nowhere. The groundwork for this ending is meticulously, carefully laid throughout the entire film. Yeah, the film plants the seeds for its ending right there, in plain sight. When you watch it a second time, you'll see all the clues, all the little hints. But the first time through, you're just so caught up in the physical act of the escape, so lost in the emotional core of it all, that you completely miss the fraying edges of their desperate little world.
So what are these seeds? Well, think about the moment the inmates just unleash their fury on two innocent plumbers. It's this shocking glimpse of the violence they're capable of. Then there's Claude's unique situation. He's the only one with a potential deal on the table. And don't forget Manu's initial reluctance to trust him. All of these moments are subtle hints at just how fragile their bond really is.
Because at the end of the day, the real lifeblood of The Hole isn't the escape plan. It's the camaraderie. It is about this powerful, almost sacred bond that's forged between these men in their shared desperation. All the digging and the planning, that's really just the stage for a much deeper, much more profound human drama.
And so we're left with this one question that really gets to the core of the film's power. What happens when trust is the absolute only thing you have left? The Hole explores this with an intensity that few films have ever matched. And that's what makes it a timeless classic that will stay with you long, long after the credits